we understand why he's important, but he's not for us. His storytelling choices aren't for us necessarily.
Only for Strider to tell us that we didn't choose the right movies for our tastes.
Yeah, the final movie we watched was
we liked that one.
Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointless Discourse with myself, Hoppocalypse, and Itisdpayne.
Hello. I want to eat like a fox.
You want to steal a bunch of free birds even though you swore you quit? You were done with that life. Oh, that was my favorite. The first 2 seconds, essentially 2 minutes of the movie, where he's so civilized with his newspaper. I actually laughed out loud.
It's Cookie Monster.
Yeah. But I guess if you guys didn't tell from the title already, or I guess essentially from our intro, that we watched Fantastic Mr. Fox, because we are on our Wes Anderson month. And thankfully, I can tell you guys, I wasn't scared of feet this movie.
So, I know I've said this before, but I'm the one that normally edits. I don't know why I said normally. I edit the show, so, which I try to find like a cold drop to go in, and it's you. It's just like, I don't want your foot fetish forced upon me, and I'm like, yes, that is it. Yeah. And so that's how it ends, and it's like out of context. It looks like you're yelling at me for forcing a foot fetish that I have
upon me.
And I'm just because. Like,
almost as if like on Discord you're like, hey, check out this fun video, and I open it and it's just feet, and I go, stop. Sounds like a stream bit.
Yeah, it was just a guy saying feet. It wasn't actually feet.
No, I know that, but it still feels like it could have been a bit when we were playing TFT back in the day or something. Oh
man, what was it? The blood chicken. Those were good times. I didn't have to. Well, no, I still had to leave the house, but most people didn't have to leave the house. The streets were clear.
Traffic was non-existent.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of bad, other non-favorable things going on, but like in my little circle, there was a lot of nice things, except for the fact I still had to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But yeah. So fun thing about this movie, I think I mentioned it to you, but when I first. This is the first and, before last week, the only Wes Anderson film I watched.
Okay. And
I didn't realize, like, until we were putting this whole list together, who Wes Anderson was. So, when the TikTok trend was going around of him. Mm-hmm. And so, for watching this movie, I remember I was going to Guatemala, like with a group of people to help out. It was like some organization down there, and we were going down, and the leader of the group like looked at me and he's like, "Are you gonna sleep on a plane?" He's like, "No, I for some reason I'm never able to sleep on planes, so I'm just gonna watch a movie, I guess." And they're just like, "Hey, well, like, what are you gonna watch?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna watch this movie, Fantastic Mr. Fox." And they're just like, "Really?" It's like, "What's wrong with you? Like, why are you gonna watch that?" And I'm like, "Well, now I'm gonna definitely watch it because of
out of spite."
Like, yeah. And so I watched it, and my first time watching it, I was like, I enjoyed this. And then I realized the second time watching it, I didn't remember most of it, but hey, I still had a fun time. But yeah, they all made fun of me for watching it, and then I think some of them watched it on the flight back, and they're just like, you know what? It wasn't that bad of a movie. And
was it the whole they thought it was for kids or something like that because it was stop motion?
I think it was like because at that time, because this came out 2009. Oh yeah, it's right there on the Wikipedia.
Good guess.
I had to remember when I was in college. So, yeah, and so pretty much stop motion at that point was Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
Um,
I think, was Nightmare Before Christmas popular yet,
Night
or was that
Night.
still
I
underground?
I think it was starting to percolate. And then there was other ones like Corpse Bride that came
Yep.
out.
Also Tim Burton.
Paranorman.
I didn't watch
Uh,
that. I have heard that's really good.
I didn't watch that one, but I think I watched one of the other ones.
I think Frankenweenie is by that same.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Pretty much all. I'm gonna butcher their name. Lakia, I think that's what they're called. Um, all their stuff. They got Kubo and the Two Strings.
That I did want to watch. I didn't get around to.
Yeah, I bought it on a deal. It is sitting in my Blu-ray DVD collection, and I just haven't got to it yet. But yeah, like pretty much that was the standard, and or not standard, but that was what was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And then this, like as I messaged you, is there's moments where it's just very uncanny valley-esque
It's
of
there for what it is in the time. It's very like, if you told me they touched it up with CGI in modern day, I'd believe you, because it's just like there's a lot of like weird intricate details that saying it's from 2009. I'm like, how did they how did they do that?
It's stop motion blows my mind. Like it doesn't. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter who does it, because like when it's done well, I'm like, I don't like it's really cool. Like with there, I know there's like this whole sequence with Kubo and the Two Strings where it's like they show the time lapse of where they make it so that way the character is moving how they would normally move while everyone else is adjusting the thing, and it's like them jumping down, landing or something. It's something,
Very
some action
dynamic.
move,
Yeah.
and it's like just hours of like just
Small
getting
increment. Yeah.
getting like what's gonna be like 10 seconds in the film, and I'm like, they have a patience that I do not have. Like there's I don't know the name of it, but there's like another stop motion guy that I saw him. Well, I say him. I don't know who the creator is. I never looked into, but they in COVID were taking their action figures and doing stop motion animations with that and doing DBZ fights. And they like the first couple were like, oh man, this is really cool and interesting, and then they started putting a clock behind it to show how long it took just to do this 15 to 20 second clip, and it's just like hours.
The dedication, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, so it's pretty nuts. So yeah, the fact like even looking at this where it's just there's so much detail, like especially when it gets into the close-up shots and how like the fur is moving certain ways, I'm like, this must have been a pain in the butt to
Yeah,
do.
and how expressive they all are, because a lot of them, you could have had it where they didn't emote, but a lot of the times when they were actually talking to each other, their whole face moves, and I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of rigging.
Yep.
I'm curious how many, I don't know if the wiki would have it, how many models they have of each character, because like they're definitely like kind of like in animation you have like keyframes where you're like, okay, this is what the character looks like when they're always smiling. So like I gotta imagine they have like different heads and different like all of that to get them to move that well.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. That's animation theme. I don't see. I'm not able to find it quickly.
Just the scope of the project.
Yeah, let's see.
Plot. Voice. Yeah, I was playing I recognize that voice every time a new character would end up on screen.
Yep. Oh, I wonder if it's on the IMDb before I start Googling. Trivia. Oh, okay. CGI was only used once in the film.
Oh, I didn't know at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Which still, like, it's crazy to think about. Let's see.
So Anderson, regarding the production design, said his intention was to use real trees and sand for the sets, but it's all miniature. Great Missenden, where Roald Dahl lived, has a major influence on the film's look. The film mixes several forms of animation, but consists primarily of stop motion. Animation took place in London, and the puppets were created by McKinnon and Saunders, with Anderson directing the crew, who many of the crew animated Corpse Bride.
Yes. I found on the IMDb that altogether there was 535 puppets made for this movie. Mr. Fox had 17 different styles alone, and each of Mr. Fox's styles had to be done in 6 different sizes. So he alone had 102 puppets.
I cannot fathom, like, just the dedication to the craft. I say that as I'm knitting while we're doing this.
Oh, I scrolled down a little bit more. It took 7 months to perfect the first Mr. Fox puppet.
Oh, just constant, like, iterations of them. Mm-hmm. I can see why Wes Anderson only did one other stop-motion film. I believe like Isle of Dogs.
Isle of Dogs, yeah. That's on my list to eventually watch. But, yeah. Anyway, it sounds like we're getting ready to leave the station, but we haven't even started the show.
Hey, all of that was non-spoilery. Not the spoiler to be found.
I'm just saying it sounds like we're getting ready to go into spoiler town, but we haven't done the normal thingies.
Yeah, it's okay.
We had our
10-minute intro. It all maths out.
Yep. Yep. Sometimes they're longer.
Gasp. We would never.
Yeah, we would.
Let the listeners find out on their own. Leave a comment on how many episodes we've gone past 10 minutes for an intro.
For the other show, I had to pay attention to the timer, so that way, because there was one time we did a 20-minute gab sesh before the thing we even got to play Call of Cthulhu. And I'm like, okay, we gotta stop.
Sorry to cut you off, but yeah.
Oh, no, it was more cutting me off.
It's for your own self. Well, that's okay, because now we're pulling out 12-sided dice.
Yes.
You want to tell them why, D-Payne?
We're nerds. I'm trying to find mine. I found it. Yeah, so we have 12 directors, and is Wes Anderson number 6? Or is he step 7? That reminds me, today I saw a video on TikTok that today is the exact center of where it's the exact same amount of days to the beginning of the year 2000 compared to the year to the start of 2050.
Wild.
So tomorrow will be closer to 2050 than we were
2000.
Yep.
Look, if anyone also leave a comment if you feel like doing that math for us and figure out when we recorded, because it's not when this goes live. That's for sure.
That's true. But anyway, we're going to roll 12-sided die because there's 12 directors, and we're big nerds, so we like rolling dice. We like finding as many excuses to roll dice as possible and not having to do math to figure out what the modifier is. We joked about it once, and then we realized it wouldn't be fun. So we're going to roll like I just did, and whoever has the highest will give a quick synopsis of the film, while the other person will ask some fun questions.
Yeah, I think I'm on question duty this week.
I might agree. What did you roll?
A 1.
Oh. I also rolled a 1.
And a what?
1. Double ones.
2?
No, 11.
Ah.
So double ones. 1 teen.
1 teen. Well then, since you rolled the highest, go ahead and give us our short summary of Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Fantastic Mr. Fox starts off with I'm totally blanking on their names, but let's see. Oh yeah, Mr. Fox and Felicity robbing, going out, and you know what? My brain, this is fun. Let me start over.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, I'm starting over. This is me.
Nice to meet you. Starting over.
Yes. I almost want to do the the Jim Carrey thing. Was it an Liar Liar? Let me say it again.
Backwards.
This went backwards. Anyway, Mr. Fox is a renowned bandit, stealing chickens from farms all over until he finds out that his wife Felicity is pregnant with their son and is forced makes a promise to put that life behind him. We flash forward 11 years. I forget how many Fox years that is. Because 12 Fox years. Yeah. It's 2 years, 12 Fox years later. There we go. He is not satisfied with his life and wants to not live in a hole. So he pretty much goes to live in this tree that is across from these 3 farmers, and the itch to go and steal again becomes too much to bear as he goes and takes up the mantle again of kitchen of the bird chicken. There we go. Chicken thief and others, while slowly pulling his family and making life not great for the rest of the animal community. Yeah.
You did it. You summarized.
It took a while. I'm out of practice.
But if you look at the stats, we're almost even.
Yeah, well, one of those stats is a prediction.
Oh, fair. But okay. So thank you for the summary. Now to ask you a couple of questions. We promise, no spoilers yet. We will warn you when we go to Spoiler Town.
Mm-hmm.
So if this was the only movie you watched by Wes Anderson, would you watch the rest of their catalog?
Well, since I am in a unique situation, I think for the first time ever, where this was the only movie I ever watched, and it was quite a long time ago, I would probably have to say no, because I didn't.
It didn't work last time.
I didn't go and look out any of his movies. Now, I will give a caveat where I was not into movies as I was trying to think. I think now I would be more interested in watching them, because back when I was watching movies then, it was a lot more rare, and I was kind of close to being out of high school for a couple of years. So I was watching a lot of horror, and this is when The Dark Knight was coming out. So it was a lot of action and
gritty.
Yeah, and horror kind of things, which there's nothing wrong with that style of film, but it was that was the only that was pretty much exclusively what I was watching. Where now I feel like I have a wider palette for movies. So I think if this now, I would be intrigued, especially to watch Isles of Dog whatever that other one is called.
Isle of Dogs.
Thank you. I'm intrigued to watch that one because that's not on our list, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get to it. So I will say, yeah, I think now I would be intrigued to look.
Okay.
How about you?
I'd say yes. I was surprised at how much I liked this. Not saying I didn't like the Royal Tenenbaums, but the writing style of the Royal Tenenbaums really gave me it was not a story that I was interested in finding out if a lot of their other works were like that. Kind of like how we talked about watching Wilson Yip, Ip Man. You could tell in the beginning it was more personal of a story, and Ip Man 2, you're okay, I can kind of buy into this, but by the end you're all right, you don't need to keep writing these. It's fine. We know you don't really want to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and then Ida Lupino as well. I was surprised because I was oh, these are stories I can relate to that I didn't expect to for how old they are. Whereas Royal Tenenbaums was a story where I was just I don't care what happens to any of these characters. I don't really have an interest. If these are reoccurring themes across his movies, then I'm not really gonna vibe with it. we kind of said the same thing about Kubrick, where we were like, we understand why he's important, but he's not for us. His storytelling choices aren't for us necessarily.
Only for Strider to tell us that we didn't choose the right movies for our tastes.
Yeah, the final movie we watched was much more aligned with our taste.
We liked that one.
Yeah. But we were doing the whole, well, we technically have to give him his most popular movies a shot, so. But yeah, so Fantastic Mr. Fox, I ended up liking it a lot. While some of I understand like the way that the ending and everything comes together is a little muddy because it is a kid's movie. I had that moment where I was like, what's the message? But overall, I think if this was the only one I had seen, I'd be more inclined to watch his other movies.
The message is, hey, it's okay to be different.
I know. Well, my bigger message was like, are there consequences to your actions? Only a little bit. Only kind of. Because everyone's happier anyway. And I'm like, this doesn't seem... we'll get to it.
Yeah.
How much did you root for the characters? Or who did you root for?
I did root for Mr. Fox.
Okay.
Yeah, even though I don't agree with, like, kind of as you were saying, like, I think second watch and hopefully wiser than I was in my early 20s, the message, and I'm just like, okay. But there's, like, moments where I'm just like, okay, like, especially in, like, the last act. So there's that. I don't know. There's other characters that I wish had more screen time, but it's just like, this is a really fast-paced movie where there's so much crammed into it.
They also all talk really fast. Like, they're like, okay, this is the very important part of the plan of the movie. And then blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's do the plan. I was like, hold on, guys. Take a breath.
Yeah. And so I do wonder if, like, he wanted to do, like, kind of pace it out a little bit more, but it's just like, that means we have to animate this, and this is going to take blah, blah, blah amount of time. He's like, okay, whatever, just get on with it. So, that all being said, was just like, I could understand why it was so fast, but at the same time, it's like, it would have been nice to, like, pause for a second and let it breathe a little bit, and, but yeah, there's moments where I was rooting for him. There's moments where, like, I don't know, I feel like for the main family there was, like, different parts where I'm just like, okay, like, I'm voting or rooting for you to do whatever task it is and all that stuff, and it doesn't seem like anybody really succeeds in this movie. But yeah, I guess in this watch, the character that I just liked the most was where is it? Kylie.
Yes, that's my favorite character. That's who I rooted for. Because all they wanted was to get along with everybody, and Mr. Fox was like, just one more job. And Kylie's like, well, if it's only one more job, how many jobs is one more job? And he's like, shh, don't talk to me.
But, yeah, Kylie, I was really, I'm like, I like this guy. And what was it? It's like, can you at least give me I can't tell when you're not listening to me. Can you just give me a sign? Thanks.
his hypnotized eyes just staring directly at the screen. I did really like those bits. But yeah, like, I'd say I rooted for Kylie the most as well. I would have loved more screen time with Rat. Rat, I thought, was a really fun and really interesting character. Not that I rooted for him. It's not really related to the question per se. But I guess I'll just say, like, I know you're supposed to root for Mr. Fox, but it very much, for me, I got to the point where I was like, he has done this to himself. Like, like, self-imposed consequences. So, I think Other than that, I just felt really bad for everyone that wasn't involved in his schemes, but happened to live in the forest, like Badger
Yeah.
and all of those families, because I was just like, they're just trying. I also felt terrible for Christofferson. He kept
Yes.
getting the short end of the stick and everything, so.
His dad has his uncle has a double pneumonia. Would you shut up? Why, he's
Wait,
got one foot in the grave anyway, or one foot
I
in the creek, or whatever
know.
they said. Yeah, Ash was a turd. Ash was definitely his father's son.
Oh, for sure. With that kind of attitude, that like super like overconfidence to him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah. I can say that like I didn't mind his growth, but I was like, oh, I'm supposed to feel bad for him for getting his cousin spoilers in trouble. There we go. Oh, I'm there. But okay.
yeah. So, but I think the only time I was really rooting for Mr. Fox was definitely in the end act, even though I knew what was going to happen. I'm like, okay, it feels like everyone in this movie like does just um the smallest step to like be better, and it's just like, you did good, kid. And it's like, what? um the only other the only other one that pops up into my mind that cracked me up was Mouse. Let me in there.
Mouse is very cute. Okay. So then, what grade would you give the overall plot?
um hmm I don't know. I think probably a B. Like, it's fun, but it's like there's definitely like a, we I was also wondering, what message B? Like, what was the lesson? So um yeah, I don't know. It was a fun watch, but yeah, I think that was pretty much it. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I'd also give it a B, maybe a B minus, only because like there are some parts that I think are such fun parts of the movie, like when they are in the cider cellar.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I wonder if we're gonna get like a lot more into Mr. Fox's past and like get to know a lot more because the rat keeps like hinting towards like who Fox used to be like, and then we don't really get it. So again, like you said, like if we went into everybody's backstories and gave everyone equal screen time, that'd be a lot of animating on their part. So I'm not gonna like gripe on it, but I think there are things in there that could have just been a little bit more interesting for what I was hoping out of the story. But yeah, still very fun watch. It has a satisfying ending, even though, like we said,
Mm-hmm.
we're just like, what are we supposed to take away? Because most of the time I try not to think about the takeaways, but this is a kids movie based on a children's book.
Yep.
So
I'm looking at the book now. Just, oh, it's also a play. They adapted it for the stage. Back in 2001. Only in the UK though.
darn.
It's also an opera.
But then, before you get lost in all of that, final question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How likely would you recommend this movie to others?
I think I would recommend it. I think this would be a fun movie for the niece to watch. I think she would have a lot of fun with it. Right now, she's totally into K-pop Demon Slayers, which the music is all over my social media. But I will, as I said multiple times, and I'll say it once again to be on the record, just listening to this music, I'm like, it is really making me want to get a Netflix subscription again just to watch this movie. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. But yeah, Mr. Fantastic Fox. I think, yeah, like for elementary school students would be fun. Like, I think for, if you're just like, hey, just here for a fun time, some kind of weird animation. But yeah, no, I think that's kind of who I would give a suggestion to, because it's, even though I feel like some of the lessons in the movie are not as focused or not as strong as it could be. There, I feel like there's still some things that could open up conversations to like for younger kids to wonder about and stuff.
That's fair. Yeah, I think I could recommend. I could see a circle of people I could recommend this to. In the same vein that like I have like in recent years started reading a little bit more like young adult books. So I think this is a good children's movie that I think translates well to adults in terms of just like watchability and being able to like find humor in it. Because I was surprised. Usually when I watch things that are kids movies, they have adult humor that's like, oh, that's supposed to go over the kid's head, but this one just felt funny. Like it just was a funny movie without having to forcibly be like sneakily crass. Except I did laugh every time they went, "Are you cussing kidding me?"
Yes. Yeah, I remember watching that the first time. It's like, are they just saying cuss every time they want to cuss? Yeah, and I completely forgot about it until it's just like, you know what, we'll cuss you. Did you just cuss me? And they're just like going around the table.
When they're trying to make the like talk about the tree and like yeah.
It's like just buy the tree. Okay.
So I do think it's very fun. But all right. I guess, do you have anything to add before we travel into Spoiler Town?
Nope. Except the train is taking off. Oh, my phone shut off. Then it turned back on. And 3, 2, 1. Toot, toot.
Turn
We're
back
leaving
now.
the station.
Yeah, turn back now if you want to watch it for yourself first. You have been warned.
And now we're done warning. Yeah, I hinted at it before, and I know I messaged Top about it, but man, there's the uncanny valley of some of these scenes. It's just, especially when they do like the close-up shots of just staring dead into the eyes of the puppet, and you're just like, well, how are you doing?
I know. I thought it was like some of my perspective kept getting messed up. Because, like, they tried to make foxes look like the same size as, like, every other woodland creature. Because it makes sense for the story. But I was like, foxes are much bigger than this. And then when they put them up against the people, like, when they were coming out of the different drains, waiting for them to, like, for people to attack Mr. Fox, I was like, Mr. Fox is the size of a mouse. I'm like, my perspective kept getting really confused.
Yeah.
Like, I could forgive it a little bit when it was the son and the cousin in the kitchen when they were stealing cookies. But
yeah, they were magically the same size. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, they magically are the same size, even though before, like, Ash only comes up to his chest.
Yeah, and then the other perspective of, like, her putting on her glasses, and they're kind of like the size... Mr. Fox is basically the size of a bottle, because he contorts himself to be bottle-shaped. Yes. And then making him the same size as a rat, where like fox and rat in real life they're not the same size.
Yeah. Well, that was like the other like strange thing. Now you bring that up, I didn't even think of it, because like Badger, when we first see Badger and Fox talking about buying the house, they're the same size when they're getting like, but then at the end of the movie, he is like head and shoulders above all the other animals.
Yeah, because he's like doing his motivational speeches at the dinner table and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like that, and then, yeah, it's like that was just interesting, and then, yeah, like there's times when him and Kylie are pretty much the same height, and the chickens are like. Yeah, like the perspective and sizes are just constantly fluctuating. I was like, I didn't even think about that until
like it doesn't take away, but I couldn't help but be like, hold on, what's going on? Where's the camera on this angle? I did like the whole bit though, the very beginning where she's like, where did you get this chicken? Oh, it was on sale. She's like, it has the tag for that evil farmer across the street that everybody knows is like really evil, and it goes weird. And then he comes back and the whole cabinet is full, and she went, all right, mess up. We're poor. Come on.
It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I got a deal. Yeah, it's what was it? There was something else that was there, and then brain blanked out. Oh, the only part that has CGI in it is the flooding, this apple cider flooding.
I didn't even register that that was CGI. I just know I
Me
had fun
neither.
watching them spinning in circles in the
Yeah,
sewer system.
yeah. It's well, that's what that when they get kicked out into the sewer system. The before that, that's when they like dig down and they like clear out everything from all the barns. So that's when
Yeah.
they and so they'd have a little dance party while they're all sitting around the hole, and that one guy's just playing the song.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess I'll ask then, what scene did you find the most impressive in stop motion?
Um, let's see. I think the one that the I guess one of the things that always stood out to me was when they were smoking and like when
Mm-hmm.
they blow out the smoke and it's or like anything that had smoke with it. Like I thought was pretty and
Yeah, when they
cool.
did the smoke bomb to clear them out of their hidey hole the first time, I was like, whoa, I thought it'd be really cool looking.
Yeah. So like that was pretty fun. Um there's a shot I believe in the beginning where they're sitting at a I think it's the first shot or it's when they're looking at the tree that they want to move into where it's just like pulled all out and the color palette of this movie is like gold and orange and like the wind goes across and like blows the like tall grass and I'm like that was pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool.
That was really good. I thought it was really impressive when they did the like motifs of each evil farmer, and they
Hmm.
had like not only was it like interestingly animated, but they, like you said, the color palettes really conveyed a lot of like the emotion. And then you have like big angry scary man who's like actively sweating or actively like
Yes.
frowning and moving around. Like, I remember as a kid I was scared of Chicken Run. I wonder what it would be like if now as an adult I go back to watch Chicken Run. But I feel like if Fantastic Mr. Fox came out when I was like between 8 and like 12 and I went to watch it, I probably would also be freaked out. Like you said, like the uncanny valley of it where you're like, they're
Hmm.
not people, but they're people.
Yeah.
But on the note of perspective, specifically about the people, I thought it was very funny how they described each person in very extreme ways and they stuck
Yes.
to it. Like when they have the meeting of the three of them together, and the one guy, he really is like, you can barely see him and it's sitting in his chair while the other guy is
Hmm.
taking up like two chairs worth.
Hmm. Yeah, what was it? The one is lean or one is stout, one is I forget the song.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. It's like you're gonna move across the street from the three worst farmers in the in the whatever it is. Even the
Well,
children
even
have a weird, creepy song about it. And then like later when they play that song as it's like a war scene, it's just like oh man, that was pretty cool. Trying to think if there's any other things. The
Oh yeah. So when it came to you rooting for Mr. Fox, so you said it was mainly the last act and him kind of like getting his shit together.
pretty much it's I don't know. I even though he it's like what did you learn? Okay, you learn to like work together with people and not be as much of a turd. Okay. But it's like I guess the one thing that I did like at it where it's like the pretty much the of him just like okay, look, I know I'm not good. I this is who I am. Like back when his wife's like, I should have, I love you, but I should never have married you, and like that whole scene where he's like, yeah, I I tried to put my past behind me, but there's we saw where that got me. It's like I have to listen to like this urge that I have. And so,
Yeah,
but
because he talks about like everybody knows foxes are supposed to be like cunning and tricky and steal from farms.
and and so he's like, yeah, I tried, but it didn't work. And then it was like when he's trying to like go out and give himself up is when Rat comes in, and he comes back, and it's just, I feel like the whole movie, like I guess we see his like sneakiness and everything like in the very beginning, and then him stealing all the stuff from the farmers, but he is like known, and like even Rat like talks about how good Mr. Fox was at his job, like at stealing stuff and everything. And like, so like we get like quick snippets and all that stuff, and like we kind of get hints at it earlier with where he just doesn't listen to anybody, because we get that in the very first scene where it's just like, oh, which way do you want to go? Why don't we go the long way or the scenic way? And he's just like, we can, or the shortcut or the scenic way. And it's just like, we can take the shortcut. It's like, oh, the scenic way looks so nice and everything, and it's like constantly forcing his way what he wants on there, or to like not just Felicity, but to other, pretty much everybody else.
Whoever's willing to give him the space, he's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna take up that space and get what I want. Yeah.
And then like at the end of the movie, he's still like that mastermind kind of thinking stuff, but it's like, no, this isn't all on me, because he does say a line where it's like, I can't remember if it's like, if it's when Felicity's like, when he confronts him, and he's like, where he pretty much says the line like, hey, it's this like, when I'm not in the center of attention and all that stuff, it just essentially is like, I don't know how to do that, and I need to be the center of attention. And then it's like, after that, it's subtle, but he's like, even though he's still the one putting everything together and calling the shots, it's not like everything relies on him. Because like, if we remember the beginning of the movie, when him and Kylie are doing everything, he's like, okay, here's the plan, we're gonna do this, 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 and this, and
Using all the methods that he's like, this is what I used to do, I know how it works, you're just here to carry more bodies.
Yes. And like the only time Kylie helps is when he points over and is just like, hey, why don't we go in that way? That isn't guarded. And he's like, you know what? There's a reason you came along. And so,
yeah, he's too high of himself to like really consider, you know, like you said, like teamwork and all of that.
Yeah, but in the end, he realized like, hey, I can't save
an entire village.
Entire village and my nephew without relying and trusting others and everything. And that's when he's like, okay, instead of everything having to rely on me, because like the reason why you guys were all mad and everything before was because of me, and I had to think my way, like I got called out because of my actions, but I'm going to still use it. And that's like, hey, let's dig, let's steal all the food, which just got them into worse trouble. And it was like, okay, at this point, it's like, we did my way, I got us into this problem, and my problem is just making it worse. So what can we do like differently? And that's when he starts to like really trust all the other people, except Kylie. Kylie still doesn't get trusted, even at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Kylie is a very sweet soul and knows how to gather minnows.
Yeah, not so much blueberries, but yeah. So
just it's written on your paw, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, and then like even at the end when he, like the very end when they go and he finds a way, him and Kylie find a way into the supermarket. It's not like he's like, his attitude isn't like, he's still himself, where he's still, hey, this is who I am. I am a coward, and I don't like it when I'm not the center of attention. But my pride got not just me and my family, but the whole farm community into the sewers and into like not a great place. Now, like, we can do this. Now we can go in here. It closes early on this day, so we can go in, get what we need, and come out without causing too much of an issue, and be able to stay in the sewers without any problem.
Yeah, I don't see that being a long-term solution, but it is
I
a
don't.
solution.
I am. I. That's the reason why the movie ends there. So, but yeah, I guess it was just like, in the end, like, now that I rambled on for so long, I think it was the fact that rooting for him, it wasn't that he was like, I need to do a complete 180 and be completely different from who I am, but it's like, I think I did like the fact that he's like, okay, rather than me giving up everything I know and like my whole life experience to do this other thing and just hope it works, it's like, I'm going to use what I know that I'm good at and then take my like pride situation out of it. And work together with this community to save my nephew, get one over on the farmers, and see where we can go from there. So I guess when I was saying I was rooting for Mr. Fox towards the end, it was more at that point.
Where you see, like, his character growth is more like, it's more of a, I know who I am, but I understand that I can't be my full self all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like a fine lesson, because he was definitely prideful to, like, what, hubris. He had crazy hubris where he's like, I haven't been caught at all in my whole life, so I'm going to keep pushing the envelope. And you're like, everybody around him's like, okay, except for his son, where his son's like, yeah, Dad, yeah, bring me too. Like, I like the one scene where they're going to one of the jobs, and he's like, I'm going to a book signing. Because he's supposed to be like a journalist or something at this point in his life.
Yeah.
And then his son is like, so, are we stealing some cider tonight? And they're like, go home. And then Christopherson is like, hey, I'm here now.
It's like, good, here's a bandit hat.
and Kylie being like, are you sure you should involve your your teenage nephew? It's like, it's fine. He's good at his job. He's a natural athlete.
Yeah, it's just funny, like, just seeing his character reaction, because it's like, I think it's pretty obvious, but I do think it's pretty interesting. Like, at the beginning, when Felicity tells Fox that she's pregnant, he says, "You're glowing," and throughout the whole movie, it's just like, we don't get a ton of scenes with it, but I'm pretty sure if there was able to be a little bit more time to it, we would have seen that Fox doesn't fully connect with Ash, because Ash is just different, and like, they haven't found out like what is Ash good at, or like what does he enjoy doing and all that stuff. So it's like that whole movie, and it isn't until like the end where Fox really starts appreciating and realizing what he's like, what Ash brings, like what I'm trying to think of the right words, but like how Ash is part of his life and how much he actually cares for Ash. And then at the end, when Felicity's like, hey, I'm pregnant again, and in that scene it's like, oh, we're both glowing. And
I know.
Yeah, and it's like, at first he's like, I wasn't ready to be a father. I wasn't ready to be a family man. I wanted to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And now, after seeing all that, he's like, and realizing how important Felicity and Ash and Christopherson are to him, it's like, no, I'm ready to be a family man.
Yeah, I do like the when he's like, Ash, let me tell you a story, and Ash keeps finishing the story because he can't, like, Mr. Fox can't stop telling the story because it's such an important story to him. And he's like, stop interrupting me, son. He's like, I already heard this story a million times, Dad. Can you talk to me about something different for once? But yeah, like, it definitely feels like in the beginning of the movie, Mr. Fox treats that event as like his life-altering event. And in a way, like, I'm sure Ash is probably like, wow, my dad blames me for the fact he doesn't get to be the top tier chicken, like, thief anymore because he was forced to have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Which also explains why Ash is like, I have to prove to my dad that I'm cool. And it
Yeah.
also doesn't help that his nephew is naturally talented and gets all the girls and is good at sports. And
Mm-hmm.
like anything that was told made his dad cool. Ash just doesn't fit that same mold.
Yeah. Till the very end, he's really good at dodging bullets and summoning rabbit dogs.
Yeah, I thought it was really weird that they went on the plot point of like there is a dog alive with rabies taking rabies medication, and then when the dog looked like it was going to bite one of the people, I was like, are they going to do the thing that you're supposed to do when you get bit by a dog with rabies and like basically have to go,
Mm-hmm.
oh, my life is over now, there's no cure for rabies.
Nope, they just dodged.
They just dodged a lot and climbed a lot of roofs.
Yeah.
I was scared that the dog was going to die
Mm-hmm.
because they had a
Yep.
lot of guns in their hands.
Yeah. Well, they used it all as trying to shoot Ash.
I know. With the machine gun fire and them somehow missing them the entire time, I couldn't help but keep thinking of the Emu Wars. Are you familiar with that? I
No.
forget if it's New Zealand or Australia, but they took like leftover weaponry from one of the world wars and went, well, the emus are destroying our farms and we're trying to settle here. So they wanted to get rid of the emus, and then the emus started basically using like guerrilla warfare tactics where they would gather and like they would see like, oh, there's two emus in front of me, and try and shoot them, and then other emus from the tall grasses would appear and attack the guys on the guns. So they joke about how they're so bad at war because they lost against emus. So that's how I felt like when we were watching the scene of all the foxes dodging, and I was like, why, how are they missing the crate? They have infinite ammo. And they kept shooting like that perfect line around the crate, and they couldn't just hit where they were hiding. But again,
Because it's a
children's
kids movie.
yes, children's movie.
Yeah. Oh man, this was a fun watch.
It was very fun. It's a nice little bit of a breather in tone shift compared to, like you said, we went from not necessarily that Kurosawa is like hit all of his movies weren't like super serious, but they definitely have heavier themes in them.
Mm-hmm.
And then to go to Royal Tenenbaums, very much like, where are we?
Yeah, it's not like you're here for a good time, not so much. Hey, let's have deep thoughts. But I don't know. We still have two more movies, so like we might have some deep thoughts in there. But yeah,
Yeah, Moonrise Kingdom has been one that's been on my to watch list for a long time. Excuse me.
yeah, I
Sorry.
heard good things about it. You're all good. Yeah, I don't know. Was there anything else? I felt like I talked a bunch. Was there?
That's totally okay. I feel like we take turns on who ends up talking more about a movie. It does help that this is your second watch, so you had a bit of a different lens of like fitting in what you remembered versus like you said, more fully formed brain watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting, like just noticing how differently we watch movies now, only because we're watching so many movies. So like it's not that we have different expectations for movies, but we're just like it's easier to understand movie structure, at least for me now that I just keep watching all types of movies. And I'm like, I know what I like in a movie now. It's kind of like when you get into reading. I remember when I first got back into reading, I was like, I'll read everything everybody says is good. And then I was like, I don't agree with everybody.
Yeah, it's. I do really like what we're doing here because it is. I do like focusing on a director and everything. Like I did think it was fun doing the A24 stuff. Like it was definitely the precursor of what we're doing now. And I think that was a lot of fun because like every week like we tried to organize it so that way there was at least some sort of connecting theme as we started watching them. But like watching this, I think it would be probably a little bit more difficult to set up, but I think it might be fun. and interesting to do the same thing that we're doing this year, but for writers. So find like a person who wrote, or a group of people who wrote like a movie, and just seeing like, okay, like how did this writing style, like how was it shown, like we can see how like the whole writing thing was going on. And the thing is, with a lot of the movies we're watching here, um
Some of the directors are writers, but not all of
yes,
them. Yeah.
yeah, so if we did it again, like it might be interesting to be like, okay, let's find writer director combos and see like how they grow. But yeah, like pretty much what I was about to say is that in all the movies, I think only Ida Lupino, she didn't write all her movies.
No, she picked up Not Wanted from somebody else's
Yes.
like mid-production. But I do think she wrote Never Fear because that was
Yes.
her personal story.
Um, Let me blind myself again as I look at this.
Taika is involved in the writing for all his movies.
Yes.
I think Spike Lee, at least, I don't remember if he was a. I think he might have been a co-writer on Inside Man, but I think the
Yeah,
rest of those are his writing.
I believe so. Yeah, because Inside Man is like the one that feels the most different.
Yeah. Kubrick
What?
is based off of books.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Watching it, like I know I gave him grief for it, but like going through this scene is like there's a lot of movies that are based off of books that we're watching. Like Hunt for the Wilder People was based off a book. Jojo Rabbit was based off a book. Rashomon was based off a book. I think there was another Akira one that we watched was based off a book. Fantastic Mr. Fox is based off a book. Um, yeah, I think. Yeah, so it's just I know, and I know some of Spike Lee, Black Klansman was based off a book,
Yeah,
and
memoir. Yeah.
yeah, Malcolm X is, well,
A biopic,
yeah.
essentially, yeah.
So it's, I think it was just
A Jojo
the
Rabbit is based off of a book.
um yeah, so it's just all, I think I will go back on my previous statement says that Stanley Kubrick only knows how to make movies that are based off of books. It just seems like the books he has chosen to make movies of, whether due to him or just either the success of his movies or he just chose popular books, just seem to be more well known than some of the other movies. And who knows, maybe in the next like 20 years, some of these books will start becoming a little bit more mainstream or something like that. But
Oh, I thought you were implying the books we're reading might turn into movies. And you know what? I
hey,
think some
there
of them
could.
deserve it.
Oh yeah, there's some.
If
Like,
only, if only, Sword of Kaigen continued in the series. But I understand why her as a writer or them as a writer is like I can't keep going back here.
yeah, I every once in a while I ask my buddy, I'm like, hey, did you start reading Sword of Kaigen yet? And he's like, it's on my list. I'm gonna be getting to it, but I pretty much he's like, I've had The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings sitting there, and he's like, I told myself I'm not buying any more books until I finish The Hobbit.
Tomes.
Yes, so I'm like, hey, it's all good. Uh, so yeah, um, all that being said, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about Fantastic Mr. Fox. Do you?
Yeah, like it is a fun movie. I think it's a very beautiful movie. Again, a movie that I think artists will appreciate more than I might because of just the technical expertise and the love it felt like went into the puppetry and the scene building. Because even like the background scenes are just really beautiful.
Oh, this is interesting. I just saw that there was a piece of trivia that the source material is only takes up 1 hour of the running time of the movie before everything is a tangent of Wes Anderson's stuff.
That makes sense. I mean that like the I think the author for this also did like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I believe
Yeah.
that's also a very short work. But the actual movie is like
A novelette.
I don't know if children's books get the same kind of titles to them.
They should.
I think children's books usually go picture book, chapter book.
Yeah. Uh, I just also found out that not only was this Wes Anderson's first dip into animation, this was George Clooney's first starring role in an animated movie.
Yeah, the whole time I was listening, I was like, I recognize his voice. And then I looked it up and saw it was George Clooney. And Strider was like, yeah, it is. I was like, reminds me, I don't think I've actually watched a George Clooney movie.
I think the only other one I watched was Ocean's 11.
Oh, that one was really big.
Yeah. I don't know. There might be other ones in there. Every time I think of George Clooney, I think of Mortal Kombat. Because there's a character in there called Stryker, who's just a cop. Mm-hmm. And he had, like, this same hairstyle, at least to me when I was looking at it, that looks like George Clooney. And so my brother and his friends would be really into playing Mortal Kombat, and they would just bring up Stryker, and I'd be like, it's time for George Clooney! As he's fighting Scorpion and everything.
That's funny. But yeah, so, yeah, like, I can appreciate Fantastic Mr. Fox a lot. I just think, you know, it has a little bit of kids movie syndrome where it wraps up nicely in a very positive way, when I'm like, but they said the big problem that they have is they miss sunlight. Going to the grocery store once a week isn't going to help them with sunlight.
Yeah.
Because it was like the little mole was like, I just want to see the sun again. I was like, yeah, it makes sense, even though you're nocturnal.
Yeah, like, I find it funny where it's like, yeah, I need to see the sun, and they're like, I think, like, the next scene, he's just like, so what's your special ability? I can see in the dark. It's like...
I did like their Latin names. I thought that was very fun.
Yeah, and that's when Kylie's like, what's mine? It's like, I don't even know if they had possums back in Latin and all that. And then, oh yeah, when he's trying to communicate to the wolf was also pretty. He's like, the whole thing was like, the whole time is just like, yeah, wolf. It's like, hey, I have a phobia of wolves. Stop bringing that up. And then they see one, and he's just like, whoa. And it was interesting, like, even seeing the wolf, because it's like, our time's up, so, but I'll keep it short. Because the whole time, like, the whole setting is like this autumn kind of like golden setting, and then the wolf is like winter,
super frigid, mountainous. Yeah,
well, and like the color palette is like goes to blues and whites and grays, and so and then yeah, Mr. Fox is just like, I can't communicate with them. So he just holds up his hand, and the wolf's like, yeah. So, yeah. I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I think I was getting to the point where, like, very pretty, but, you know, straightforward movie. Nothing too deep in terms of, like, reading between any kind of lines. Kid movie things.
Yeah. I got nothing else to add. So, next week we are watching Moonrise Kingdom.
Kids at summer camp.
I don't know anything about this movie.
I could be wrong. I think you read the description to me before about them on an island, but I mean, I always looked at it and went, "Oh, they're in a summer camp," because I think the cover is them in like a treehouse or something.
I don't remember. I'll take your word for it.
Well, we'll find out.
I'm looking at it on Amazon right now, because it's just, I don't know. I've just seen a whole bunch of clips and everything, and all I can see is the beginning of Jojo Rabbit when they're going to the the Nazi camp.
I see what you mean. I see.
But this one is like Mounties or whatever. But anyway, it is that time
where we must say goodbye to the viewers and listeners.
I guess so. Only if they want us to. I didn't hear a no, so let's keep going for another hour. No. I got work tomorrow. So, anyway, thank you everyone for watching or listening. If you guys enjoyed, let us know what you thought of Fantastic Mr. Fox. Prepare your buns for Moonrise Kingdom next week. And so thank you for watching, and until next time, talk to you later. Bye.